Toyota has been the #1 car company on planet Earth for 6 years running, 10.8 million vehicles a year, a hybrid empire that basically printed money while everyone else scrambled to figure out EVs. And now, in 2026, the thing that's got Toyota's home turf nervous isn't a Tesla. It isn't a Hyundai. It's a tiny, boxy little Chinese electric car that costs less than $17,000. It's called the BYD Racco. And no, I'm not exaggerating when I say this thing has quietly rattled the psychology of an entire industry. Not because it's fast or fancy or loaded with power like half the stuff we cover on this channel. It's the opposite. It's small, it's cheap, and it's aimed directly at the one part of the Japanese market that Toyota, Suzuki, Honda, and Nissan thought was permanently theirs, the kei-car segment. I want to walk you through exactly what BYD built, why the timing lines up almost perfectly with Toyota's own EV stumbles, and why I genuinely think this is one of the more important stories in the EV world right now, even though the car itself is about as far from a performance machine as you can get. Stick with me. This gets good. Why the kei-car market is the real battlefield. If you're not from Japan, you might be wondering why anyone cares this much about a small commuter car. Here's the thing. Kei-cars are not a niche in Japan. They are the market. Depending on the source, Kei vehicles make up somewhere between a third and 40% of every new car sold in the country, with the Honda N-Box sitting at the top of the sales charts year after year. These are tightly regulated machines. The government caps their length, their width, and their engine output. And in exchange, owners get cheaper taxes, cheaper insurance, and an easier time squeezing into Japan's notoriously tight parking spaces and narrow streets. Basically, every major domestic brand, Toyota included, has built its business around owning a slice of this segment for decades. It's not a side hustle for these companies. It's the bread and butter that keeps dealerships running in every small town across the country. So when a foreign brand shows up and says, "We built one specifically for you," that's not a small gesture. That's BYD, saying it understands the assignment. And that matters, because BYD has already tried the bigger stuff in Japan. The Auto 3 launched back in 2023, then the Dolphin, then the Seal, then the Celion 7 last year. All of it sold, sure, but we're talking a few thousand total passenger vehicles for all of BYD, still a rounding error next to what Toyota or Nissan move in a single month. The Racco is BYD's attempt to stop knocking on the side door and just walk straight through the front one. It also helps to understand just how stubborn Japan has been about full electric adoption. Hybrids still dominate the market, and fully electric vehicles remain a small sliver of new car sales, nowhere close to what you'd see in China or Europe. So BYD isn't just trying to beat Nissan and Honda at their own K game. It's trying to convince an entire country that's comfortable with hybrids to finally take the plunge into something fully electric. That's a much bigger mountain to climb than the price tag alone suggests. What the Racco actually brings to the table. Let's get into the actual car, because this is where I think it gets genuinely clever. BYD unveiled the Racco at the Japan Mobility Show in October 2025, and the name itself is a nod to the sea otter, which honestly is a cute little branding move that plays well with a Japanese audience that loves character and warmth in its products. It's a small detail, but it tells you BYD thought about how this thing needs to feel to the people buying it, not just how cheap it needs to be. It sticks to K regulations down to the millimeter. Staying within the length, width, and height caps the government sets for the whole class. It's got that classic tall, boxy silhouette, wheels pushed out to each corner to maximize interior space, sliding rear doors, and a floating roofline with a triangular A-pillar window that actually helps visibility in tight city driving. None of this screams sports car. It screams practical. And that's exactly the point. Under the floor sits a 20 kilowatt-hour LFP blade battery, BYD's own in-house lithium iron phosphate tech, paired with a front-mounted motor putting out modest power that lines up with what key regulations basically force on every manufacturer anyway. What actually matters here is range and charging, and that's where the Racco holds its own. BYD is quoting a WLTC range of around 180 kilometers, and it supports DC fast charging up to 100 kilowatts, which is genuinely quick for a car this size and price. It's also got a heat pump air conditioning system on board, a small but smart touch, because heat pumps sip way less battery power than old-school resistive heating, and that matters a lot when your total pack is this small. Now, 180 kilometers might sound modest if you're used to reviewing flagship EVs with huge range numbers, but that's missing how these cars actually get used. Most key car owners in Japan are doing short daily trips, school runs, grocery runs, quick commutes. A battery like this in that context can realistically stretch several days between charges. It's not a road trip car. It was never trying to be one. Inside, BYD kept things simple too. A floating touchscreen, a digital instrument cluster, a block of physical climate buttons instead of burying everything in a menu, heated front seats, USB and Type-C charging ports, and even white leatherette upholstery on some of the leaked images. It's not a stripped-down Econobox. It actually looks like BYD tried to make the cheapest car in its lineup feel a little special, and I respect that. Too many budget EVs feel punishingly bare inside, and this one clearly didn't take that shortcut. The number that's getting everyone's attention. Here's the headline figure. BYD is targeting a starting price of around 2.5 to 2.6 million yen, which lands somewhere around 16 to 17,000 US dollars depending on the exchange rate. Sales are expected to open in the summer of 2026. Now, on its own, that price isn't shockingly low. This is the important nuance a lot of coverage glosses over. The Nissan Sakura, Japan's reigning electric K-champion, starts just under that with basically the same battery size and the same range. The Mitsubishi EKX EV, built on the same joint platform as the Sakura, starts a bit higher, and its top trim climbs even more once you add a digital cluster, heated steering wheel, and a bigger navigation screen. So BYD isn't necessarily coming in dramatically cheaper than the established players. What BYD is doing is matching the established price while adding faster DC charging, a battery chemistry it fully controls the supply chain for, and a design that genuinely doesn't look like an afterthought. That's the actual thread here. Not cheap car floods market. It's foreign challenger matches the incumbents on price and slightly beats them on tech, in a segment those incumbents assumed was untouchable. And I'll be honest, if I'm a Japanese buyer cross-shopping these, the Honda N1 EV actually looks like the range king of the bunch, with a noticeably longer WLTC figure than the rest, though it starts higher too. Suzuki's answer, the EWX, is still stuck in concept car limbo with no confirmed production specs, so it's not really a fair fight yet. So the real fight right now is a four-way stare-down between Nissan, Mitsubishi, Honda, and this new Chinese entrant, and BYD walked in with a genuinely competitive card in its hand on day one. Why this lands at the worst possible moment for Toyota. Here's where the destroyed Toyota's future framing actually earns its keep. And I want to be careful here, because I don't think Toyota is collapsing, but the timing on this one is brutal for them. Toyota does not really have a direct key EV passenger competitor right now. The closest thing is the electric Pixis van, which launched in 2026, but that's a commercial K-van with a bigger battery and more range, priced higher and aimed at a totally different buyer. It's not aimed at families cross-shopping a Sakura or a Racco. So in the one segment that makes up close to 40% of Japan's entire new car market, Toyota simply doesn't have a horse in the electric race yet. And this is happening while Toyota's broader EV program has been stumbling through delay after delay. The company pushed its next-generation EV platform, along with the Lexus LFZC and LFZL concepts, out to mid-2027 so it could nail down new manufacturing techniques like gigacasting. It also delayed production of its first three-row electric Highlander, the one built specifically for American buyers, citing unspecified adjustments needed before launch, after already pushing that same program back once before due to design changes. Toyota's overall global EV production targets got trimmed down too, well short of the ambitious numbers it originally threw out. To Toyota's credit, this cautious pacing has actually paid off in other markets. Its hybrid-heavy, patient approach let it dodge a lot of the EV demand whiplash that hit Ford and GM, and Toyota is still comfortably the best-selling automaker on earth, with a massive war chest committed to electrification through 2030, including work on solid-state batteries it hopes to bring to market in the next couple of years. So this isn't a story about Toyota falling apart, but it is a story about Toyota being genuinely exposed in exactly the one corner of its home market it can least afford to lose, right as a hungry, well-funded Chinese rival shows up with a purpose-built product and zero interest in waiting around for Toyota to catch up. The playbook behind the playbook. What I find most interesting is that the Racco isn't really a standalone move. It's the latest chapter in a strategy BYD has been quietly running since 2022. First, it tests the water with electric buses. Then it brings in a lineup of passenger EVs, one size and price bracket at a time. Then it starts pouring money into dealerships and service centers, with a public target of over 100 outlets by the end of this year. And only after all of that groundwork is laid does it drop a car custom built for the one segment where trust and local know-how matter more than anywhere else. That's not the move of a company trying to make a quick splash and bail. BYD hasn't announced local manufacturing in Japan yet. Every Racco is rolling off a boat from China rather than a local factory. So there's still a real logistics and cost exposure question hanging over the whole plan. But if this kei-car sells even reasonably well, don't be shocked if local assembly becomes the next conversation. Can BYD actually pull this off? Now let's talk about the honest obstacles, because I don't want to sit here and tell you BYD has this in the bag. Japanese buyers are famously loyal to domestic brands. Toyota, Suzuki, Honda, and Nissan have decades of dealer trust, service networks, and resale value baked into every purchase decision. BYD is still building out its dealer network, and it's manufacturing every one of these cars in China and shipping them over rather than building locally. Suzuki's own president has already gone on record downplaying the threat, essentially saying small car standards vary a lot country to country, which tells you the establishment isn't panicking publicly, at least not yet. But here's my actual take. I think the Racco succeeds not because it's shockingly cheap, but because it removes every easy excuse Japanese buyers used to have for dismissing a Chinese EV. It's not underpowered relative to the class. It's not stripped down inside. It's not overpriced. And BYD isn't a stranger showing up out of nowhere. It's been running electric buses on Japanese streets for years and selling passenger EVs since 2023. That's a company that's been patiently laying groundwork, not one that's trying to smash and grab. Do I think BYD instantly overtakes Nissan Sakura or dethrones Toyota's dominance in one summer? No. And BYD itself doesn't seem to think that either. Its total Japanese sales are still a rounding error compared to what Toyota and Nissan move. And Nissan Sakura alone has outsold BYD's entire Japanese lineup many times over in a single year. But I do think this is the opening move in a much longer game, and I genuinely think it's a positive one. Competition like this is exactly what pushes Suzuki, Honda, and Nissan to sharpen their own electric K offerings faster than they otherwise would have. And for Toyota specifically, it's a loud reminder that being cautious about EVs works great, right up until someone else decides your own backyard is worth fighting for. If the Racco lands anywhere close to its promised spec sheet this summer, I think it's a genuinely good thing for Japanese consumers and a real wake-up call sitting right on Toyota's doorstep. Whether Toyota answers it fast enough is the part I'm actually excited to keep watching.